Morbid Facts, Part 310. On the day before 9/11, George Carlin recorded a live set in Las Vegas titled "I Kinda Like It When a Lot of People Die," intended as the closing segment of his next special on HBO. But after the attacks the very next morning, the title suddenly felt incredibly disrespectful for obvious reasons. Carlin wisely shelved the material and renamed the special Complaints and Grievances. A few years later, he planned to revive the original title for a new special, only to scrap it once again following the devastation of Hurricane Katrina. In 1959, popular New York DJ Peter Tripp locked himself in a glass booth in Times Square and attempted to stay awake for more than 200 hours as part of a publicity stunt. But as the days passed, Tripp's mind began to unravel. He started hallucinating vividly, screaming that doctors were imposters, believing that people were trying to poison him, and insisting that the furniture was on fire. By the end of it, he had entered a full-on psychotic state. Though he eventually recovered enough to return to broadcasting, those close to him said he was never the same psychologically. His stunt became one of the earliest public examples of sleep deprivation's terrifying. Morbid Facts, Part 314. In July of 2014, 53-year-old teacher Sharon Budd was in the passenger seat on Interstate 80 in Pennsylvania when a rock thrown from an overpass crashed through the windshield and struck her in the face, blinding her in one eye, shattering her skull, and nearly killing her. The rock had been thrown by a group of teenage boys who were engaged in a reckless spree, stealing steaks, smashing windows with bats, tearing through cornfields, and gathering heavy stones specifically to hurl at passing vehicles. After the impact, they laughed, cheered, and even returned to the scene twice more before being caught. All of them were eventually convicted, and several received prison time. The trauma completely upended Sharon's family, and 2 years later, her husband Randy, who had tirelessly fought for stricter overpass protections and campaigned for legislative change, tragically took his own life, apparently overwhelmed by the financial and emotional toll of the horrible incident. This woman was caught on camera doing something deeply disturbing to win a chess match. Earlier this year, Russian pro chess player Amina Abakarova apparently needed a way to knock her opponent out of a tournament. So she decided to go to the extreme and poison the woman, 30-year-old Ume Osmanova, in what's being treated as an assassination attempt. Amina poured mercury from a thermometer onto the victim's chessboard before her next match and smeared it all over her side of the board with one of the pieces. Osmanova said she began feeling unwell during her match 30 minutes later, complaining of sudden severe nausea and dizziness, prompting an immediate call for medical assistance. After the security footage was reviewed by authorities, Amina had no choice but to confess to the murder attempt. Osmanova ended up making a full recovery, as the attacker was banned from future chess competitions and stripped of her previous titles. Abakarova now potentially faces several years in Russian prison for the senseless attack.